surprise, surprise, I got another V12. Now this isn't a pretty cool gun. You know, I'm pretty fond of this. I wouldn't pick the color that it is, but it's still a pretty cool gun. So what it is an APS M4. They used to call them the Spider series or something like that. The gearbox that comes in this does not come with the APS MOSFET, which is pretty unfortunate if you ask me. I don't know if this is because this is an older gun, or maybe only the race guns come with the MOSFET system. Now these are actually not that expensive, and maybe that's why it doesn't have a MOSFET in it, but they're about $260. For $260 you should be getting a MOSFET though. I really feel like that. But you go down in the description and it's the 2015 APS Silver Edge gearbox, so which is the basic gearbox without the MOSFET. So I don't know if they're ever going to start coming with it, or if they're still coming out of the factory with the basic trigger contacts. But this is upgraded, so the gearbox really doesn't matter. But I thought I'd give some more background on the gun. So about $260, maybe upwards of $300 for the versions with color. Now I'm not sure if this is hydro dipped or what kind of finish it is, but it's really nice. It really is. Now I believe the guy got this gun new, I believe, because it looks new. It looks like a brand new gun. So let's just start from the back and go to the front. So on the back, just got the standard crane stock. It has 6 positions. I have a 9.6 in there, and it doesn't have caps on here, which I think is a mistake, because some people are going to want to use a 9.6. Unfortunately, maybe this will push people away to not using 9.6s, in your stock AEG, that is. With the HPA system, I have a Tamiya or JST to Tamiya, so I just have a Tamiya 9.6 in there. So that's the only reason why it's like that. So if you were to use this as an AEG, I would use a buffer LiPo right down the buffer tube. Wouldn't mess with putting them down the sides. And if you were going to use an HPA system, I would just use a standard JST battery. But I just have the Tamiya on here because all my JST batteries are in my guns, so I just didn't want to take them out. So I decided, I'll just try the 9.6. A lot of people might end up changing the stock anyways if they're going to build like a custom gun, so that might not even be a problem. Metal buffer tube, ambi-sling mount on the receiver there, plastic pistol grip, metal body, upper and lower. It's some sort of pot metal. I don't think it's CNC'd. It's not the best quality, but the finish is actually really good. And again, I think it is hydro dipped. But you have your standard parts, mag catch. The charging handle doesn't do anything on this one either, because APS does a proprietary system with the gearbox, so it's kind of wonky. The rail in the front is probably 7 inches, probably 10 inches. It's long enough. But you see how it's open over here? So it's probably to the end, maybe 8 inches, 8 to 10, but it's open on the top, so it looks much shorter. Has a rail on the bottom. He said he plans on putting in an AFG and then possibly a T1 with a riser and just the optic, a cheap T1, like a Field Sport, and then you can flip these down, and that would look really nice if you ask me. Now, so the barrel is probably 10 or 12 inches, and this is more of a CQB built gun, I feel like. This flash hider is ridiculously long, so you can take this off, and in fact, I am ordering him a suppressor. I don't have it, but I will try my foam filled suppressor so you know how quiet it's going to be. But right there, I don't know. Even if you buy this as an AEG, I'd probably ditch this and buy a shorter one. Put a shorter one on there and then go indoor. Because honestly, it's like an inch longer than any other flash hider should be. The sights on here are APS Rhino sights. I remember these came out back in the day, and I actually bought a pair for like 30 bucks at a local airsoft shop or some stupid, because they looked like Magpul ones and they were brand new, and when you flipped them down, they had the glow-in-the-dark pistol sights. They're really, really gimmicky, and when I was like 14, I bought it. I got suckered into it, but they're pretty cool. But for 30 bucks, man, they're just, it's not worth that. You can get 2 pairs of fake Magpuls for 30 bucks on eBay. So on the hop-up system, it is using the stock hop-up unit. It is metal. I tightened the wheel with a shim because these wheels are often loose and it would adjust itself, so I tightened that up. Stock barrel and bucking. I tried 3 different buckings, 2 different barrels, and 2 different hop-up systems, and I was having problems. So this took me probably 4 hours to perfect, and it seems to be shooting perfect now. The APS bodies can be picky with V12s, and I've even heard fusion engines. but this is like the third APS I've done, and all of them had problems, but it just took me longer to tune. On the engine, it has the Pro grip line that attaches in here. The line was in awful shape. I bought this V12 used for the customer for pretty cheap. And it had this in there, but the original hose was like this short, and it was just in crap condition. So I actually had a spare hose, so I put a new one in there, and then just reattached the Pro Connect thing. It just extends it, and I don't know, it's decent, but I would avoid these. I would just get the IGLs that screw into the gearbox, or into the engine itself. They make them for Fusion engines, and those also fit these V12s. So then it's got the V12. I shortened the trigger pull. It has a QEV valve. It has a purple poppet in here, so low flow. It's like a red poppet with a shim, like a built-in shim. So it's going to be lower flow than a red poppet. And I did that on purpose just so he could have the ability to go indoor if he wanted to. Otherwise, if I was using the stock poppet with the bored-out nozzle, he would be way hot. So I did bore out the nozzle as well, so there's plenty of airflow, which just helps the system cycle. It's like running a red nozzle. You just kind of ghetto it and drill it out yourself, which works just fine. I do it all the time. So yeah, basically a red nozzle, purple low flow poppet, QEV valve, banjo, the S2 banjo, and then a grip line thing. So pretty much everything is upgraded, and this is about as efficient as a Polar Star jack, which is pretty impressive. It really is, because jacks are efficient, even though they're a pretty old system. But that's a very competitive air efficiency out of it. He did buy a amped airsoft regulator for me, the SLP, so he's going to use that, and then after he gets the gun back, he's going to order his tank, and he's going to get a 62 cubic inch, because that's what I recommended. The guy that sent me this gun is the same guy that had me put the Perun V2 optical inside of his Valken ASL. He is going to run that for indoor. What was that, like? It was shooting 350 with the 2. So an indoor gun, and then this is more of an outdoor gun. So I wanted him to have the ability for full auto, something that's not super slow. This is the fastest rate of fire he's had, I'm sure. I don't think he's ever had anything higher. So he'll get some fun use out of this. Okay, so I went ahead in there and had to change out the bucking, and I adjusted the settings a little bit because the stock bucking just wasn't doing it. So these are 2.5s, so they're overhopping. I'm actually going to suggest him to use 0.3s. I really would suggest 0.3s. If you can get mid-caps that'll feed 0.3s, then by all means, run 0.3s through these BAMPs. But he said he had a couple random mid-caps he's going to try. They likely won't work. He said he has 4 high caps, so you're probably going to find yourself just using the high caps with 3s, which we will test out in a little bit. I just want to see how the mid-cap feeds. There we go. Yeah, that's really nice. So I did not up the PSI in any way, but the joules are going to go up. So now we're probably at 1.45, maybe a little bit less than that. Probably 1.45 with a 0.3, which again is less than the 1.5 or 1.55 that a lot of fields have with 0.3s for HPA. But some are just straight 400, just like with AEG. So, just depends on where you go. That's very consistent. Full auto. Like 200 feet. Maybe a little bit further. And trigger response is just perfect. So it looks like the BAMPs with 0.3s even feed on full auto and semi. So it's pretty good. My suppressor on there with the quick detach AAC flash hider And yes, it is very, very quiet for sure. And we'll try it just with the AAC flash hider on there. And now it's loud. So it's at 80 psi, so between 80 and 85 should suit, but 80 again gets about 1.45 with 0.3s, which is all outdoor fields should allow that. And we're still at 2,000 psi in the tank. It is an 88 cubic inch, so it's a big one, but it's about just right on 2,000. And when I started shooting, it was at 3 this morning, and I put probably 1,500, 2,000 rounds to it. So it's very efficient as a Polar Star Jack. So I really think he's going to like it. Pretty good gun. Definitely going to be great for his first HPA system for sure.